Have you ever wondered what really went on behind the thick stone walls of medieval monasteries? These ancient structures, often shrouded in mystery, hold stories that go far beyond the serene image we usually associate with them. You probably picture quiet monks living in peaceful solitude, praying and fasting all day, right? The image of devout men dedicated to a life of spiritual discipline and simplicity is what most of us have been taught to believe. Well, what if I told you some monasteries were hiding scandalous secrets, and monks weren't always as holy as we've been led to believe? Beneath the surface of piety, there were layers of human desires and indulgences that often went unnoticed. Imagine monks indulging in lavish banquets, sneaking into secret romantic affairs, and living anything but humble lives. These were not just isolated incidents, but part of a hidden culture that thrived within the monastery walls. So stick around. What we uncovered today is bound to change how you think about these ancient religious communities. The stories we'll share will challenge your perceptions and offer a new perspective on monastic life. Let's start by busting a myth. We've all been taught that monks were pious, holy men who lived lives of prayer, fasting, and simplicity, a peaceful, humble existence, right? Well, not quite. You see, while some monks were absolutely devoted to their faith, others found ways to make monastic life a little more comfortable. How comfortable, you ask? Some monks indulged in fine wines and sumptuous feasts, far from the austere diet we might imagine. They engaged in trade and amassed wealth, sometimes rivaling that of the nobility. Hunting and falconry were not uncommon pastimes, enjoyed by those who could afford it. Their robes and manuscripts were often adorned with gold and precious stones, reflecting their status and wealth. Monks also played significant roles in politics, influencing decisions and forming alliances with powerful figures. So while the image of the humble, pious monk is partly true, the reality was far more complex and at times indulgent. Well, let's just say that instead of bread and water, some of these guys were dining like kings. That's right, lavish banquets, overflowing tables covered with roasted meats, fine wines, rich pastries, and cheeses. Picture monks gathered around, digging into feasts that would make you loosen your belt a few notches. And here's the kicker, they justified it by saying the rich food helped them focus on their prayers. Not exactly what you'd expect from a vow of poverty, huh? Fun fact, some monasteries became so wealthy they started living more like royal courts than places of worship. Who knew? But the indulgence didn't stop at the dinner table. Oh no, it gets even juicier. These banquets were not just occasional treats but regular affairs, with monks often indulging in the finest foods. They even traded for exotic spices and rare ingredients to make their meals even more sumptuous. And let's not forget the entertainment. Musicians, performers, and jesters were often part of these grand feasts. The dining halls were adorned with lavish decorations, making each meal a grand event. It was a delicate balance between indulgence and spirituality, one that many monks struggled to maintain. And as we'll see, the secrets of their indulgence went far beyond just food. Let's talk about romance. Yes, you heard me, romance. Some monasteries weren't just places for prayer, they became hotspots for forbidden love. Despite taking vows of chastity, some monks found themselves entangled in secret romantic affairs. I bet you didn't see that coming. There are historical records of monks engaging in relationships, not just with locals, but sometimes even with fellow monks. Forbidden love inside the monastery, now that's the definition of scandalous. You've probably heard the phrase, rules were made to be broken, and well, these guys certainly took that to heart. In fact, some monasteries became so notorious for their lack of discipline that reform movements had to step in. Which brings us to, these secret romances often involved elaborate schemes to avoid detection. Hidden passageways and coded messages were just some of the methods used. The thrill of forbidden love added an extra layer of excitement to their lives. But these romances often ended in heartbreak, as the risk of discovery was ever present. The shadow of scandal loomed large over these secretive affairs, making them all the more intriguing. The Cistercians. This group of monks was determined to bring back serious discipline to monastic life. They felt that the essence of monasticism had been lost amidst the growing opulence and laxity of other orders. The Cistercians believed in a back-to-basics approach, emphasizing simplicity and austerity. Hard work, manual labor, simple meals, and strict prayer routines were their focus. Unlike the wealthier Cluniac monasteries, known for their grand feasts and extravagant lifestyles, the Cistercians rejected luxury. They saw it as a distraction from true spiritual goals. They built their monasteries in remote, swampy areas to avoid temptation and focus solely on their spiritual duties. Every aspect of their daily routine was designed to reinforce their commitment to a life of poverty, chastity, and obedience. You see, despite all these attempts at reform, some monasteries kept living the good life. They were like the medieval equivalent of modern-day billionaires, enjoying the finest things life had to offer. Why? Because they were loaded with cash. Yep, many monasteries were not just spiritual centers, they were also economic powerhouses. They had their own treasuries filled to the brim with gold coins and other valuable assets. Over time, they accumulated land, wealth, and a whole lot of influence. These monasteries owned vast estates, sometimes even more land than the local nobility. They were like the landlords of their time, with farmers working their lands and paying them rent. Some monasteries became landlords, collecting taxes from local farmers and essentially ruling over their own little kingdoms. They had the power to enforce their own rules and regulations, making them a force to be reckoned with in medieval society. And with that wealth came power, and with power, well, you know how the saying goes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. These monasteries wielded significant influence, not just in religious matters, but also in political and economic affairs. Even though the church preached simplicity and humility, some monasteries just couldn't resist the temptation to indulge in the riches around them. They lived in luxurious settings, with opulent interiors and lavish feasts. Sound familiar? Institutional hypocrisy isn't exactly new. Just like today, where we see organizations preaching one thing and doing another, these medieval monasteries were no different. So here's a question for you. If you were a monk living in a monastery surrounded by wealth, feasting on luxury meals, and maybe even sneaking into a little romance, could you resist the temptation? Imagine having access to the finest wines, the richest foods, and the most comfortable living conditions. It would be hard to say no, wouldn't it? Makes you think, doesn't it? The human condition hasn't changed much over the centuries. We're still tempted by wealth and comfort, just like those monks were. And that's exactly why the Cluniac and Cistercian reforms happened. These reforms were attempts to bring the monastic life back to its original ideals of simplicity and devotion. That's when the Cistercians stepped in with their stricter rules and emphasis on hard work and simplicity. They aimed to strip away the excesses and return to a more austere way of life. It's easy to preach simplicity when you're living in luxury, isn't it? The contrast between the opulent lifestyles of some monks and the austere lives of others highlights the ongoing struggle between wealth and simplicity, a struggle that continues to this day. So, what have we uncovered today? Medieval monasteries weren't just places of quiet prayer and fasting. Some were hotspots for indulgence, feasting, secret romances, and even a bit of corruption. While monks like the Cistercians fought to bring back discipline, others took advantage of the wealth and power their monasteries held. Behind the stone walls of these religious communities, human nature took over, just like it always does. Now, what do you think? Were these monks just human, giving in to temptation like the rest of us, or were they living double lives? Hypocrites, preaching one thing and doing another. In the end, these monasteries were microcosms of the larger world, reflecting both the virtues and vices of humanity. Their stories remind us that even in places of supposed sanctity, the complexities of human nature are ever present. Let me know what you think in the comments. Your thoughts and insights are always appreciated. And if you love this peek behind the curtain of history, there's so much more to explore. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the untold stories of the past. Your support helps us bring more fascinating content to you. Don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss another video. We have a lot of exciting topics lined up that you won't want to miss. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Stay curious and keep exploring the hidden corners of history with us. Check out our previous videos for more intriguing stories and join our community of history enthusiasts. Your engagement makes all the difference. Until then, keep delving into the mysteries of the past. Goodbye for now. But before you go, let's dive into the darker side of monastery life. Monasteries weren't just places of piety and devotion. They were also rife with scandals and controversies, from financial corruption, where funds meant for the poor were diverted for personal luxuries, to moral failings that would shock even the most jaded observer. These holy places often fell far short of their lofty ideals. Video clip of ancient documents with financial records. In some cases, abbots and monks engaged in embezzlement, using monastery funds to finance their own lavish lifestyles. Video clip of a medieval banquet. Lavish banquets were not uncommon, where the supposed men of God feasted like kings while the common people starved. Video clip of a monk in a secretive conversation. Then there were the secret liaisons, romantic and otherwise, that flew in the face of their vows of celibacy and chastity. Video clip of a medieval courtroom. These scandals often led to public trials and severe punishments, but they also exposed the inherent vulnerabilities within the monastic system. Video clip of a dark, empty monastery hallway. Despite the efforts of reformers, these controversies continued to plague monasteries, casting a long shadow over their spiritual missions. Video clip of a medieval manuscript being written. Historians have documented these dark chapters meticulously, revealing a complex and often contradictory world behind the monastery walls. Video clip of a modern historian speaking. Understanding these scandals gives us a more nuanced view of medieval monastic life, reminding us that even the most sacred institutions are not immune to human frailty. Video clip of a dramatic sunset over ruins of an old monastery. So, as we explore the hidden corners of history, let's not shy away from the uncomfortable truths. They offer invaluable lessons and a deeper understanding of our past. Video clip of ancient books closing. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. Keep questioning, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep learning. Video clip of channel logo with subscribe button. Until next time, stay curious and keep delving into the mysteries of the past. Goodbye for now. As we conclude our journey through the fascinating world of medieval monasteries, it's essential to reflect on their lasting legacy. Video clip of modern universities. Many of today's educational institutions owe their origins to these centers of learning. where monks meticulously copied manuscripts and preserved ancient knowledge. Video clip of a modern library. The libraries we cherish today are descendants of monastic scriptoria, which were the intellectual hubs of their time. Video clip of a community soup kitchen. The charitable works initiated by monasteries laid the groundwork for modern social services. Monks and nuns provided care for the sick and poor, a tradition that continues in various forms today. Video clip of a serene countryside. The agricultural techniques developed by monastic communities have also had a lasting impact, influencing modern farming practices and sustainable living. Video clip of Gothic architecture. Architecturally, the grand designs of medieval monasteries have inspired countless structures, from cathedrals to universities. Their influence is evident in the Gothic arches and intricate stonework that grace many of our cities. Video clip of a modern meditation center. Spiritually, the contemplative practices of monks have found a resurgence in today's mindfulness and meditation movements, offering timeless wisdom for modern life. Video clip of a modern historian speaking. Understanding the legacy of these monastic communities helps us appreciate the complexities of history and the contributions that have shaped our present. Video clip of a dramatic sunset over a modern city. So, as we look back, let's also look forward, acknowledging the enduring impact of these medieval institutions on our society and culture. Video clip of ancient books closing. Thank you for joining us on this enlightening journey. Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the rich tapestry of our past. Video clip of channel logo with subscribe button. Goodbye for now.